Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Robot Attack. My name is Scatter75, and today I'm doing an interview with Battery H, one of my favorite streamers to watch on Twitch. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing really well. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. It's been great to watch you over the years and to see how have you been evolving over the years? So let's start off with right off the bat. How did you start off streaming? Like what got you into streaming?
Well, as you know, but as many others may not, I am part of an organization called Extra Life, which raises money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and in particular, my hospital, Children's Hospital in New Orleans. That is really the impetus for my streaming. I was aware of Twitch. I had seen some of it, but I never really got into it. And once I started raising money for the hospital, I decided, instead of just hitting on family and friends every single year, I might want to broaden my approach a little bit and use that as a vehicle for raising money. And so my first couple of streams were, very awkward, testy kind of things. And then I started doing specials for raising money for Extra Life and realized that if I was out there a little more often, I might get a few more viewers. So that's basically where it started, and I've been doing it for Extra Life ever since.
Yeah, I remember you were also mentioning that kind of another friend of yours brought you into Extra Life. Like you wouldn't have known Extra Life if it wasn't for this community, and I feel like that's like really a great thing. Like I found you at like Time At, and I found you found me versus Time At, and just this like this huge community, and then I find other Extra Life streamers, and they're just wonderful. I don't think there's a Extra Life streamer that I don't like so far that I've just been watching them, and this big community that we connect to each other. Um, so I feel like
Oh yeah,
that's
it is, and don't kid yourself. I mean, you don't have to stream to be involved in Extra Life, but an, you know, um, a sizable minority of us do, I would say. I mean, they do bring in, some, you know, thousands, ten thousands of viewers every, or tens of thousands of participants every year, and a relatively small number stream, but we tend to be a pretty close knit group. It's kind of funny that way.
yeah. I know like people are very creative. Like Zai, for instance, is like doing a merit like running, and he just posts his results, and they like, hey, donate to Extra Life, and even that you don't even have to stream, and he does stream anyways, but it's like trying to get other communities involved and trying to get people kind of hyped out about it is really kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, because we're not just video gaming. I remind people of this all the time. I said it's not just video games. If you're a board gamer, if you're a card player, if you like to play basketball in the backyard, you can still do this.
Hmm.
And some of these things don't lend themselves to streaming as much, although I do know some Extra Life creative streamers, which I find awesome in a number of ways. So we've kind of branched out into all these various areas, and so in our community, we like to think there's something for just about everybody, but it takes all kinds.
Yeah. As long as I mean, even if you just join Extra Life, just to join, you could do that too. It's free, and then you just have a community there, and you find people, and you could even try to raise money through the connections that you have. That works too. Like
Every
there's no one wrong way to do this, and I
Nope.
think
Every dollar you raise is a dollar that helps a child. That's the way you look
exactly.
at it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how small. I think I started with $100 my first year, or 125, and now I'm trying to do 100 or 200. It's just unbelieved of how many people are so generous. Um, and
It is.
it's
It certainly it humbled me that I've managed to entertain people enough that they've been willing to donate the amounts of money that they have.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So, one thing I'm curious to ask you, like, so I feel like a lot of streamers have trouble being motivated. So how do you stay motivated? I mean, you recently got affiliated, but that's a great motivation. So, but but before
Well, that
that,
was a
like,
long time coming too. I mean, you can lose it. I did for quite a while. I took a hiatus for
yeah,
several months while I got myself back together again, and I found that I missed it. I missed the interaction, but staying motivated and getting up, and doing the streams that you're scheduled to do. Some people can do it every day. I have other commitments, full-time job, family, all that stuff. So I stream 2 to 3 times a week. And I guess it's just finding the games that you enjoy playing, going with them, right? And don't give up, don't stop being you. I know that every viewer that I might get is a chance to bring another person and to raise another dollar and to help another kid. So, I found that in that regard to work real well for my personal motivations. That may not be for everybody, but that's what works for me.
yeah, I think what really hits home is people like to if they get comment if you comment on their Twitch, even that is just like, oh wow, like people are actually watching me, and and then you know
No, it is. It's and the nice thing about streaming, as opposed to YouTube, which I also do, is that the reaction is immediate, and you have a chance to comment back directly,
hmm
and right away with folks. I mean, I do enjoy the fact that people want to lurk and kind of hang out and not be seen, or they've got stuff going on, and they've kind of got you onto the background for entertainment purposes, and that's fine and fun. But it really it being a part of the stream as a viewer makes the stream much better.
hmm
So be good viewers. Don't be afraid to engage. Follow the streamer's rules
yeah,
for
for sure.
obvious reasons. But engage within those rules, and I think that you'll find out that unlike any other medium of entertainment, streaming and watching things like that, where the streamer is reacting to you, and you're having a dialogue and things like that, it allows you to participate as opposed to watching television or going to a movie or even reading a book. You're not actively participating and perhaps even influencing the outcome of or the entertainment itself.
Yeah, I feel like once you get that interaction, then you could stay motivated and then continue streaming. And I think that's probably the great aspect of it is, seeing people that are actually commenting to you versus YouTube. You record it, you upload it. It might take well, with early YouTube people like us that we're not a big popular people. It's gonna take a day or two to get some comments coming in, and then it's like, oh, you should have done this better. It's like, well, it's too late now. Like I already uploaded the video. Uh, where
Well, that's like everything else. It's a learning process, right? If
yeah,
there's something, if there's something that you see even in a stream, again within the realm of things, I post on mine that I'm willing to listen to your advice. I may not take it. I
yeah,
probably won't take it. But hey, if you've got an idea, maybe it'll work. Maybe it's something I haven't thought of before. But you get a lot of that on YouTube where, oh, geez, why didn't you do it this way? Why didn't you do it that way? Because I didn't. Yeah, because not everyone's you. Because we don't have to necessarily be the most experienced or the best at something, as long as we're making it fun for you to watch.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm a big believer in positive reinforcement and offering help if somebody wants it.
Yeah. Yeah, any time it's always helpful that um I think, and even um yeah, even it's hard to see those viewers that don't comment, because I try to stay away with trying to see how many people are watching. Like, even like if I don't feel like streaming, I probably won't stream that day, even though I actually put a schedule out yesterday, but like obviously I'm not gonna stick to it if I'm like, you know what, I don't feel any anything that I want to play. Like if I don't feel like, oh, I feel like playing Rocket League today, then I'm gonna play some Rocket League. You know, it's just
Right.
kind of because if I,
Well, I guess there is the tough part, right? Because you get two things. In order to come across and appear to be enjoying yourself, you really do need to be enjoying yourself.
right,
On the other hand, the cardinal one of the cardinal rules I say to channel growth is making a schedule and sticking to it. So you have to tell yourself, okay, well, you know what, if this means I don't play Rocket League any other time during the week because I know that I've got to get my fix in for the week, and I'll save it for the stream. Sometimes that's the sacrifice we make, and you will see streamers that will stream, and you know in the back of your head that they're not altogether into it. They may have something else going on in their lives. Um, in that regard, remember you're a performer, and you almost kind of have to bury that and say, okay, I'm going to go out there and give this 100% of what I have,
yeah,
and not be afraid, not be afraid to go out there and really do the best that you can. Say, you might come out and say, listen, guys, this may be short today. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here because I said I was going to be here. I try not to deviate too much from my schedule. There are times, uh, holidays tend to be difficult because you have family and friends. Where I'm at, we have a few more holidays than the normal. We've entered Mardi Gras season down here, so there are parades and all that sort of thing, which means that family comes to visit and friends come to visit, and it makes it difficult for me to hit the times that I've set up because there's so much else going on. But if you know that in advance and you post to that, then it's a lot easier for people to accept.
yeah, yeah. Say, hey, I'm busy this week with um some event, unfortunately, or I'll be back on Sunday. Make sure to catch me then or whatever. Whenever
Right.
you think roughly that you'll be done with these activities. Like obviously vacation, like if you're gonna go somewhere for a week, obviously you're not gonna bring your laptop to stream. Um, but
Says who?
yeah, right. That's true. Uh,
I've been known to do it.
it's okay. I'm just saying I'm not, because my laptop is chunky and I don't even
Yeah.
know if I could stream on that. Um, but anyways, so how do you think that you kind of got affiliated? Do you think you paid people off, or no? I'm joking. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
as a matter of
come
fact.
to my stream. No. How do you think you kind of got that
It
going
was a
for
hard
you?
and ugly slog. For a while, I didn't think it was going to happen. I had felt for quite a while I had met all the requirements, and I just didn't get it, and I just didn't get it, and I just didn't get it, and finally, then the viewers started dropping off. When that happened, I did become discouraged. I was like, well, okay, whatever, the heck with you.
Hmm.
And so I said, well, I'm going to come back. I'm going to do it because I need to do it for this, for Extra Life. This is what I do to help raise money.
Yeah.
I need to do this first and foremost. And enough people started watching again that I managed to get affiliated fairly quickly after I came back, and that surprised me. I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to do it, simply because it seemed to me as if some people would think, well, he's not really in this to raise money for the hospital, he's in this to raise money for himself.
Hmm.
Um, and there were some conversations with some people I had, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized that there is a certain subset of viewers, not everyone, but a certain subset of viewers who won't take you seriously if they don't think that you're affiliated and committed to doing these kinds of things. And so that's why I ended up taking the affiliation. Now I don't have many subs at all by any stretch of the imagination. And as I tell everybody in the first, in the middle, all the time during the streams, and certainly at the end, I would much rather you donate than subscribe.
Yeah.
If you want to give a $5 donation every month instead of a subscription, all $5 of that is going to Extra Life. As opposed to if you subscribe to me, then I get $2.50, and that 2.5 goes to Extra Life because I just turn around and I recycle all that money and all that money.
Yeah.
that's a
Yes.
that's a bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
I recycle those bits and send that on to Extra Life. So that's really what is going on there. Every penny that I get in those categories goes towards a charity.
Yeah. I think that's very generous of you. I think a lot of people kind of get discouraged about being affiliated. It's like, you know what, I mean, I feel like, you know, it, I think people once they get that affiliation, they just kind of, I don't know, that's me. I feel like maybe they are kind of more towards getting money for themselves versus Extra Life, but I guess I haven't seen it. But maybe there's some people that do
There
that.
are some. There are others that I know of that donate every dollar they get, and I mean, it's the affiliate process was created by Twitch to allow streamers who are trying to put themselves into the full partnership status. Is really what it was designed for, so that they could start getting some money because unless you have very generous spouse, parents, relatives, just hit the lottery, those sorts of things. Getting enough money, and having enough money in your bank account to pay the bills while you spend however long it's going to take you to develop an audience to get to full partner. And some people never do, obviously. Most people never will. Is time consuming and expensive, and it requires a full time commitment.
Yeah.
And I don't ever see myself partnering up simply because I don't ever see myself streaming 6 days a week. It's just not going to happen. I have too many other things, and I'm just not. Maybe when I retire, yeah, sure. I'll be Grandpa H, and we will do that. To supplement my meager pension. So that could happen then, but I don't think that I'll be drawing a huge crowd then either. So
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I
it's my
think
winning personality.
yeah, I think that works wonders, and I don't feel like I should do that either, and so. But anyways, so your games that you mostly play are simulators. Is there a favorite simulator game, or
Well,
or what is your favorite game?
strategy and simulation, it tends to make up a lot of my stuff. And well, part of that goes back to when I started gaming way, 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 way back in the early days. We PC gaming involved text, and I'm showing my age here. Um, but favorite game, man, there've been so many over the years. I've been a big fan of the Roller Coaster Tycoon series up through number three. The latest one they released was something of a bomb, but thankfully Frontier, who developed Roller Coaster 3, stepped in and developed Planet Coaster. SimCity has graduated to Cities Skylines. I enjoy that as well.
Hmm.
Uh, I
Oh
have I
man.
have taken to the the European and American truck simulators like nobody's business. Uh, and funny story about that is that European Truck Simulator 2 is a gift,
Hmm.
and a friend of mine had given that to me for a donation. He spun the big wheel, so to speak, and that's the game that came up. And I thought, a trucking simulator? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll never play this. But I owed it. I always said I owed it to him to boot it up and give it a try,
Yeah.
and I did it, and I found it incredibly relaxing.
Yep. Until you start
And
hitting
this led me
signs.
to find a particular streamer, and he introduced me to Farming Simulator, and I thought, really, you're going to sit around and farm, uh, and I said, there's no way, I will never ever ever play that. Well, let's
Guess what?
see. As of right now, I have on Farming Simulator 17 495 hours on record there. 353 hours on Euro Truck 2 and 214 on American Truck Simulator.
Yep. That'll do it for you.
Yep, never saw that one coming, did we?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
I think,
They are surprisingly addictive and very relaxing.
yeah, I remember in the 90s when video games started to really hit the computer. I'd play Flight Simulator 98, I believe. And I just loved the crap out of that game. I mean, to be fair, 90% of the time I'd crash it into a building, but like the other 10% I'd just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna fly, you know. I'm just gonna.
My very first flight simulator was Flight Simulator. Okay, because they didn't need a year or a number after it because it was the first.
Hmm.
And it originally came with a little World War II biplane game with it. So you fly up and take on the opposition and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. And it was incredibly basic, but you had all the controls at your keyboard. You had a joystick if you had that. You could use that for the controlio. And it was amazing. And I never saw that coming. It was a lot of fun to play, even though I was no good at it.
Yeah. So, I guess that's a good topic to bring up too. Like, what do you see, like for instance, those like any differences between like Euro Truck Sim, sorry, not Euro Truck Simulator, like Flight Simulator 98, or sorry, Simulator 17 versus Flight Simulator 15, or Farming Simulator
I
17
don't I
versus
don't I don't
13.
have the current I don't have the current versions of Flight Simulator.
Okay.
Um,
But
I
like
think you meant farming. I think you meant Farming Simulator, maybe
yeah. So
like
like
15,
it
17. Yeah.
yeah, is there any difference between like those yearly games that come out that you find more exciting versus
Well,
or there are
Giants. Yeah, Giants has done some neat stuff. They have improved the graphical quality tremendously. Um, they haven't done much for their gameplay in the last couple of editions. They've changed some things. They've made it a little more realistic, but Farming Simulator is very much I call it arcade farming. You're not getting overly realistic. The goal is to allow everybody to have some fun and ride around in tractors and harvest and things like that. And yes, it isn't simple or easy, but it's not a full scale simulation. Now there are some other games that are moving into that category. You have Pure Farming that's coming out in March this year. That will be I'd say they're going head on towards the farming simulator audience. They're going to. It's not going to be incredibly complex, but it will be wonderfully diverse. They're going to have you farming all over the world. You have cattle and crops, which is still very much in early access and backers only kind of project right now. That is going for a far more realistic view. So you will be doing all of the things. You'll be getting out and attaching your hitches manually. You'll be getting in and out of the tractors and dealing with farming in a much more realistic sense. At least that they've bitten off a big project, and it's a tiny little development company, and I'm hoping that they can pull it off because if they do, it will be um, to farming much more like current the current competitors, even to and I cannot think of them. The current competitors to Flight Simulator are there's one that's basically used to train commercial pilots, and you can play it on your laptop, and you sit in the cockpit of a 737, and every switch, every dial is representative, and you have to click them all, and that's the kind of realism that some of these games are getting to now, and it's really incredible that you can, for all practical purposes, play these games and be this profession in all of its minute detail.
Yeah, I think
We would
that's
not have thought of that 20 years ago.
yeah for sure. I always realize when I'm playing even Euro Truck or Euro Truck or American Truck Simulator, like when I'm playing that, sometimes I'll look in my blind spot in real life where my blind spot is, and then I'm like, wait, I'm playing a game. Like that's how even I feel like so sucked
Well,
into
no,
those
it's a
type
good
of
habit to
games.
get into if you don't want to, smash up your drive.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I just like look over my shoulder on the stream
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you'll see it and then I'd be like, "Oh, wait, what am I
Well,
doing? I'm playing a video game."
I have to turn the controller so that I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, you get yourself some Track IR, and they talk about more realism, right? Track IR, where the camera will follow your head movements. So when you turn to the left, your screen will show that you glancing to the left, and you turn to the right, the screen will show you glancing to the right. It's
Yeah.
we have gotten and within the ability of most people to afford it. That's what's really amazing. We'd had this stuff before, but this is the fact that they can market this to the average consumer, the average video game enthusiast, is something that says a whole bunch about technology lately.
Yeah. I remember even having a steering wheel and pedals and I'm like, man, if I didn't throw those away, I think I threw those away. They're probably somewhere, maybe if I'm lucky, but I can't even find them anywhere these days. They're like
I'll get the
insane.
G29. You'll be fine.
They're insane amount of money. It's ridiculous. Um,
Mm,
I
it depends. Let's put it this way. Do you need it? No.
no.
All right. Well, I shouldn't say that. Would you want it if you are going to play a high-end racing game? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
If you're gonna do something like iRacing, or even Project Cars, I would say you're gonna find yourself in a competitive environment, and you will be at a disadvantage if you're using a controller. But if you're driving a truck single player, it's not a competitive bit. If you're playing the game at home, if you're playing, you know, Forza or something like that, and you're not playing in an online environment where you're not super competitive, a controller works just fine. But once you start getting into the cutting edge stuff, I think you'll find that having that input and the sensitivity that it enables uh, is a whole lot better.
yeah, I remember playing what was it? Need for Speed 3 with that and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. Made me really feel like I'm racing.
I
And
had a
that's
wheel for I had a wheel for one of EA's back when EA had the franchise for NASCAR. They had a series which a version, one of the early versions of the game, where you would work your way through the NASCAR series, and you could start in trucks and move up to the lower case back then. Back then it had a different name. Today it's Xfinity Series, and then all the way up to the Cup Series. and I had a wheel and pedals for that, and you could play the full environment. So if you wanted, if you wanted to race, you were racing for 3 hours if you went 100% length.
Yeah.
So yeah, you didn't want to be doing that with a controller, trust me. Much less with a keyboard.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Fantastic. What's roughly your streaming schedule as of today? Like, I feel like you have really great times. Like, I feel like you made it happen where you stream at I think roughly 10 a.m. on Saturdays, um, and you get
8:30 to 10:30 Central,
8:30.
so 9:30 to 11:30 on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and then 6:30 to 8:30 on the West Coast. Yeah, 10:30 or 8:30 to 10:30 in the mornings on Saturday, from 5 to 7 at night on Sunday, and then 7 to 9 on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
The reason is really kind of simple because I'm dealing with uh, different groups of people, and one of the things that a good streamer will do will be to tailor games to the audience and the times he chooses. I have a very large, well, I shouldn't say a large portion of my viewership for my Saturday morning stream, which is Saturday Morning Drive, tends to be things like Euro Truck and American Truck. It's a very European audience, so it's mid-afternoon for them, early evening. So they're watching, at times that they enjoy, because those games, the farming games, tend to have a very large European presence. When I'm playing Sundays, it's Sunday Fun Day, so it's much more likely to be something along the lines of World of Warships, Civilization, uh, some of my building games, kind of things like that. That plays better to an American audience. Uh, they like those games a little more. And then Wednesday nights is my achievement hunting bit, and the nice thing about that is I mirror that after a week over on YouTube, so that if you've missed any of the previous episodes or you want to watch the whole series of a particular game, you'll be able to do that. So we're basically trying to work on 100% achieving a number of different games, and that kind of has a broader appeal because you're never really sure what kind of game it's going to be that I'm going to play. I don't know half the time. When I start to select a new game, I find something that looks kind of interesting to me, that has a number of achievements that aren't, get one lucky shot, and go from there.
Yeah, for
So by stretching it out, it makes it harder for people that are available the same time every time, but it broadens the audience a little bit more. So I have folks from Europe, I have folks from Asia, I have folks from North America, East Coast and West Coast, and trying to provide a little bit of time that's convenient for everybody. And say, well, I may not have to watch him every night, but I know he's on this time every week.
And that's where the schedule play comes in.
Yep, and that's one of the reasons I do it. And it also makes it easier for me to schedule family events this way. I'm not taking up every night of the week with stuff. I have times where I'm available during the daytime. I have times when I'm available for family at nighttime, and it lets me work, plus work around all of these other commitments that I have, and still put out regular streams.
Right.
The family likes to go to the movies every now and again, and if I'm streaming every weekend night, it makes it difficult.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds good. Well, I appreciate your time. If you guys want to check out Battery H, you should for sure check them out. Twitch.tv Battery H, Battery underscore H.
Battery underscore H, yep.
Yeah, almost forgot that part. He does amazing work, so for sure check him out. Mostly you could catch him with.
I'm also on YouTube at Battery H1862. You'll find usually a slightly different game set over there.
Yeah.
So we have a few more strategy style games and building style stuff over there. And of course, you can catch me on Twitter at Battery H without the underscore because I believe in having a different nickname on every possible social media just to confuse people.
Yeah. We like confusing
It's
people
just the way it came up, and you know,
we like to confuse people as much as possible, for sure.
and I found that it works wonders in driving folks away from my channel.
As much as you can. No.
You really have to be committed to want to watch me.
Ah,
But hey, like I said, I'm committed to having a fun time, and if you're having a good time, I'm having a good time. So
yep, that's all that matters. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
it has been a great pleasure. I'm glad we could finally do this.
Yeah. All right. See you soon. Bye.